Welcome back to the Heat Check Podcast. I am your host, Chris Patrick. This is episode 33 of the Heat Check Podcast. We're recording this on Saturday, September 21st, 2024. Do you remember the 21st night of September? Man, I am excited to be back. This is our, obviously, September recording of the Heat Check Podcast. We got a lot to talk about. There was some big news in the basketball world, especially for the Phoenix Suns. The Arizona Cardinals are 1-1 to start their season. Dbacks have a little bit of a stadium dispute going on. They're trying to figure out their lease there, and they are just about a week away from the postseason. So plenty to get into. Don't want to waste any time. But first, of course, I got to introduce my co-host here. First, we have the Whatnot app purchaser of the month of August, Michael Benjamin.
What up, gentlemen? Got a lot of purchases pending. You know how it is. How we feeling tonight, man?
Oh, man, feeling good, feeling great. Hopefully they get that to you quick. I feel like the turnaround's usually pretty good. You get your stuff within about a week.
Super solid, man. That's why I'm always on there.
I love that. Hey, Mike's chasing those deals, man. But also joining us, we have Caleb Williams, personal nail polish selector, VSP Tallman.
Yes. We knew it.
Oh my goodness.
Tallman, what color did you pick out for this Sunday?
Well, pink, because everyone's pretty in pink, and look good, feel good, play good for Caleb Williams.
Hey, Caleb Williams.
Even though he has not been playing good.
He's been a nasty girl, man.
Oh, yeah, he is a nasty girl. Okay.
All right.
Jesus Christ, Christopher.
Well, guys, let's get serious here for a little bit because obviously we've been prepping for the show for about a week, but then, of course, earlier this afternoon we got word of the passing of Suns legend and Ring of Honor member Al McCoy at the age of 91. Born in 1933, of course, passing this year in 2024. He was broadcasting for the Suns on the radio for over 50 years. I think the longest tenure for a sports broadcaster in the entire NBA, possibly the sports world. I don't know, maybe baseball has a few more. Yeah. Vince Scully was around for a while, but not to take anything away from Al McCoy. Obviously, everyone is chiming in and sharing their memories and words on his passing. And I want to get to that. I'm going to share a few of the comments that were made. But first, I want to ask Mike, because he was a ball boy for the Phoenix Suns, as you all know. Got to meet the man, the myth, the legend, Al McCoy. So, Mike, what are your thoughts on this?
Well, first and foremost, this is a tough one for the Suns community. I know a lot of people feel that way. I mean, I can't tell you how many texts I just got from so many friends today. Our threads, our text threads were going through the roof today about, the passing of Al McCoy. And I had the pleasure of meeting the man a couple of different times, like Chris said, as a ball boy. Always an upstanding individual, always welcomed you with open arms. And, you got to think how many random people Al McCoy met throughout his life, and he was always the same. He was always genuine. He was always positive. And to be calling games for the Suns for 50 years, you got to have a positive outlook, right? So, wow, man, it's crazy. And to really think about it, I mean, his passing, what a life, what a career, 91 years old, an absolutely incredible life that only anybody can really hope to get within this stage of life that we all are chasing, right? But we've already kind of been missing Al, if you really think about it, for the last year, right? Because John Bloom took over, and I really like what John Bloom has done as a broadcaster, and there was already a couple of years where they were kind of going in and out. Al wasn't going on the road as much anymore.
Right.
But, this is a big one for the Suns community, man, and it's already been seen from the outsharing of thoughts and prayers for his family and the multiple comments, like Chris said, he's going to share some as well, from Suns legends and NBA legends, man. It's a big loss for the Suns community, man.
Yeah, no, without a doubt. And I know I can definitely probably speak for you, Nico, who's the host of the Valley of the Suplex podcast. We all just kind of remember growing up, like our entire lives, Al McCoy has been calling the Phoenix Suns games on the radio. Tallman, you're kind of a newer basketball fan, more in your adult life than in your childhood.
Yeah.
But obviously, even at that, you got to listen to Al McCoy on the radio as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, his voice is just so iconic, and this was like, it's the news that you get that you were definitely not expecting to happen. It's definitely very sad. I mean, like you said, I did not grow up being a basketball fan. It's just not how my family was. But, I grew up listening to, compared to the Dbacks, Greg Schulte, who just recently stepped aside from being the Dbacks broadcaster on the radio, which he was doing it for, I don't know how long, but definitely since the formation of the franchise, right?
Yeah, probably pretty early.
So and then Greg Schulte's got a very iconic voice as well. But I mean, just becoming a Suns fan or just getting into basketball a lot more than I was in the past, just within the last couple of years, it's like I'm driving around, I'm flipping on the Suns game on the radio, and yeah, it's like, I mean, and what I loved about Al McCoy was, he always spoke his mind though too. Like he was never afraid to be like, I don't, like, oh, I'm not going to say something bad about a call or this or that or a bad play. Like he always came out and said, oh, that was terrible, or, so it's definitely a sad day for Suns fans.
No, yeah, without a doubt. He held the refs accountable. He held the players accountable on both teams. We'll see that in some of the comments here. I think one of the things, I was driving to pick up some pizza today, and I was listening to some of the Dbacks broadcasts, and they kind of pointed out that Al McCoy always came off completely authentic. And like there are some play-by-play guys who try and find their shtick, their phrases and catchphrases, and it can come off a little corny, but Al McCoy, 100% authentic, and they were kind of saying like who you hear on the radio is also who you meet in real life. So he's just genuinely that dude from the Shazam to from downtown.
Oh brother,
yeah.
Heartbreak Hotel, Zingo the Strings, and that's the beautiful thing about it, Chris. Right, his authenticity created these cornerstones for the franchise that we all correlate with. I mean, obviously the biggest one is Shazam, but if you were a kid growing up in the 90s and 2000s, I'll always remember driving to Suns games in my dad's little Toyota Tacoma, basically where the pedal was on the ground, listening to Al and coming home disappointed from some games and him venting those frustrations too. So he was just always basically kind of a part of our lives as Suns fans. So that's why I think this one hits big, man.
Yeah, and what's crazy is even the Suns' new head coach,
Budenholzer grew up.
He grew up Arizona, in the small town Arizona. Was it Holbrook or
Holbrook? I think up north a little bit. Yeah.
Yeah. So and then even when in his introductory conference, press conference, where he's like, I had no idea Al was going to be here, and he was stoked about that. Yeah. So maybe this season it's win for Al.
Man, wouldn't that be nice? It would have been nice to get it while he was still alive. I know they were definitely trying to do that. Devin Booker started to have a special connection with Al. But like I said, and I think like Mike was saying, I want to read some of these comments, and bear with me. I try and read it higher than a 5th grade reading level. So
it's okay.
I'll do my best here.
Right.
So this first one is from Phoenix Suns owner Matt Ishbia. His is probably the most lengthy comments of anyone. He said, for 51 years, he was the voice of the Suns, a defining figure in Suns basketball and the Phoenix community. His voice, his passion, and his joy were legendary. He was legendary. From Dick Van Arsdale to Devin Booker, Al's voice illuminated the memorable moments in Suns history, bringing generations of Suns fans together along the way. He will forever be the greatest soundtrack in Phoenix Suns history. Al McCoy passed away at the age of 91 on September 21st, 2024. From his first call in 1972 to his last in 2023, Al McCoy was there for every defining moment in our history. He was the heartbeat of our organization, a cherished friend, a mentor to many, and a legend whose voice brought countless unforgettable moments to the life for generations of Suns fans. We are heartbroken by the passing of our beloved Al, the voice of the Phoenix Suns for over 5 decades. Our thoughts go out to Al's family, friends, and our entire Suns community. Matt Ishbia. Rest in peace, Al. Shazam. So
that was good.
I couldn't have said it better myself. Honestly, you can tell he put some thought into that. Another one here is from Sir Charles Barkley. He said, "This is a sad day for the Suns and the Suns family. Al McCoy represented everything that is great about Phoenix, the Phoenix Suns, and people who love basketball. I was blessed and honored to work with Al, and I'm going to miss him." Another one, we have Adam Silver, the commissioner of the NBA. Al McCoy was a master of his craft. As the longest tenured team broadcaster in NBA history, he set a high standard throughout his 51 seasons calling Phoenix Suns basketball. He entertained generations of fans, and his distinct delivery and unbridled love for the game, and was a beloved friend to so many of us in the NBA community. I send my heartfelt condolences to Al's family and friends and the entire Suns organization. I just got a couple more here for you I want to get through. Devin Booker, I think it's important. He said, I had the privilege of Al McCoy narrating the first 8 years of my career. He was inducted into the Ring of Honor my second season, and it was then I really understood what a special talent he was. And over the course of my career, I've learned what an even more special person he was. We will miss Al, and I am so glad our legacies in Phoenix are forever connected. Steve Nash did make a comment, but I think the last, just so we're not going too long here,
You don't want to read it?
I got feelings about Steve. No, okay, fine. I'll read Steve Nash's comments.
Okay.
Steve said, I got to work with the great Al McCoy for 10 incredible years. His energy and spirit were unmatched, and I'll never forget all the conversations and laughs we shared. He was the teammate that never wore a jersey. He loved his Phoenix Suns as much as anyone, and his legacy will endure the generations of Suns fans to come. Lots of love to the one and only Al McCoy. All right, I'm glad I read that.
Yeah, that was a good one.
And lastly, one that I really enjoyed, and I think it was short and sweet and kind of really highlighted Al, was Rex Chapman, former Phoenix Suns. He said, Suns legend Al McCoy has passed away at the age of 91. Al was like the second dad or extra granddad to a lot of us. He traveled with us, ate with us, drank with us, told us to stop bitching at the refs, hugged us, and loved us. And we loved him back. Rest in peace, Al. So obviously, a ton of people chiming in, and that was just a small sampling of people making statements. I highly encourage you to go out and go on Twitter. I'm sure they're on Facebook, all over the internet. Just an outpouring of, memories of the man, the myth, the legend, Al McCoy. But yeah, guys, really, really just a sad day. I mean, I know it is always kind of surprising when someone passes away, but at 91 years old, he lived a good, long life. And so it's not... In some ways, it's not that surprising, but you're never really prepared. It's like, and especially when Al McCoy was kind of like that family member, that extra teammate. He was the teammate that never got traded, never retired, always there. No,
I think that's a great point to bring up, Chris. And that's why Rex Chapman's quote was so awesome, because you got to see it from the inner workings of a player, but even as a fan, you no joke, growing up with Al McCoy, he can be that extra family member, somebody that you get to listen to and hear his thoughts and opinions, that kind of stuff on a weekly basis throughout a Suns season, right? So this one's still tough. Like you said, you pinpointed it out perfectly. Al lived a great life, 91 years old, 50 years, man, doing something that you love.
Wow.
Absolutely incredible.
That's the dream.
But, I mean, just by these incredible quotes that all of these not only Suns legends, but then you talk about Adam Silver, the commissioner. I mean, he was held in such high regard, and it shined through those quotes. And I think a lot of people feel the same way, even if they didn't have an actual relationship with him speaking-wise.
Yeah.
And that's only something that we can all hope to garner within our life. Like I said, I'll echo that again, because he's just really somebody that was a true shining light, not only for the Suns, but for the Valley, man, for Valley sports. An absolute legend. We're going to miss him, man.
No, without a doubt. I couldn't have said it better. Just a great, genuine guy, and I think that really, really lent itself to it. I wanted to share one more tidbit for me personally. When I was kind of telling my wife Sabrina about the news of his passing and how he was a broadcaster for 51 years. And it's kind of, she was like, "Oh, did he like financially have to keep working, or did he just love it that much?" And I was like, "Sabrina, come on. Like, he loved it. He loved the Suns. He loved doing the broadcasting. Like, yep. He did it as long as he physically could, and even like waned himself off of it when he probably shouldn't have been doing it anymore. He, like you said, he stopped doing the home games. Was the very last season he was doing like every other home game, or it wasn't super consistent, but man, definitely a massive loss for the Suns and the NBA community. But I want to propose a toast, boys, to the late, great Al McCoy.
To Al.
Rest easy, Al.
Well, fellas, never easy to move on from such a heavy topic. I'm sure we could go a lot longer on Al McCoy and the Phoenix Suns, but the show must go on, and I think that is what Al would want if he was here. But we're going to talk about the Arizona Cardinals now and some football, and I guess it's a more positive note with the way they've started their season, 1-1. They looked good against the Bills, put up a fight, and then they beat the Los Angeles Rams. Jesus, I've kind of spaced on that for a second. Really whooped the Rams. The Rams are really beat up. They didn't have Puka Nacua for that game. Cooper Kupp went out early. They really did a good job of shutting down Kyron Williams, Matt Stafford, and played a complete game, which I think was huge on both sides of the ball. The defense even showed up, which I don't know if we're going to be able to expect that every single game, but just, high level. Mike, what are you liking so far from the Arizona Cardinals?
Well, high level, the expectation can't be for Kyler Murray to have a perfect passer rating and almost play perfect every game, right?
Yep.
But the questions that came off of week 1 were answered, and they were answered early, right? What's the plan with Marvin Harrison Jr.? He's going to be involved, and it was awesome to see. And they gave him further opportunities within that game as well. I know we touched on the jump balls at the goal line. Love them. I absolutely can't wait for those to start hitting because they're going to be crucial. But I think it's kind of some of the same things that transferred over from last year, right? The running game is absolutely stellar. I think we're tied for 4th in the league right now. James Conner looks spry within his time and his carries. The offensive line has been absolutely stellar. Even last week with Calvin Beachum coming in, and that was a big question mark for us, right? Now there's another question mark. Is he going to play this upcoming week with the hamstring, right? So more questions. But overall, what I've been liking has been the offense to start, right? Because that was what we thought was going to be the focal point of this team in general. And it's hitting early, man. It's been awesome to see.
Yeah, and obviously, the Heat Check podcast here is pre-recorded. We're doing this on Saturday. Probably going to get this out Tuesday, Wednesday next week, depending on how quick my editing skills are. So this week 3 matchup we have at home with the Detroit Lions will already be done and decided. Tallman, I do want you to share your high-level thoughts on the week, but also looking forward to this week 3.
Yeah, so, I mean, we saw week 1, and there's question marks about how good that Bills team is going to be. And now you go look at any power ranking, the Bills are top 5 in every power ranking that you see, no matter what the publication is. So that's a good opponent that we had in week 1, right? And we dominated half that game. And then you fast forward to the Rams game, we dominated the entire game. So we have 2 games under our belt, 8 quarters where we dominated 6 out of 8 of those quarters. That's not bad, right? And then the Rams game was great. It was our first win at home against the Rams since 2014, when the Rams were called the St. Louis Rams. So that was a much-needed win at home against a division rival, and I think that was Gannon's first division win, right?
Absolutely.
Are you kidding me? Oh my god.
Well, dude, we won 3 games last
year. We
went
0 for in the division last year, man.
Oh yeah, okay.
Come on.
Okay.
So that was great. We whooped some butt. We kicked some ass.
There you go.
Yeah, what am I trying to go
we
PG
put the
right now?
We put the explicit tag on this podcast for a reason.
Very true.
So that was a great ego booster, I'm going to say. I mean, I will just echo what Mike said. Kyler's not going to have a perfect passer rating, but what we saw from Kyler though is he made plays with his feet. He made plays scrambling out of the pocket, throwing the ball, and he made plays within the pocket. So he had a great all-around game, and then the play action was kicking off. James Conner was cooking. Like, this team looks dangerous. It looks dangerous. And that defense where, so you can sit there, you can play down how our defense played against, an injured offensive line of the Rams. We got after Matthew Stafford. Dennis Gardeck had 3 sacks, right? So we had a ton of pressure, but you can't downgrade how Kyler and the offense played because we played against their full defense at full health. There was no big person out on the defense.
It's true.
Whoever's hurt on the offense of the Rams did not impact how the Cardinals offense played. So that is extremely promising. But coming into week 3 with the Lions, oh boy, we already mentioned Kelvin Beachum maybe not playing. This offensive line is going to have a really, really big duty here trying to block Aiden Hutchinson.
Yeah.
I mean, that dude has just been, he's been a monster. He's off to a really hot start. Did he have 3.5 sacks last?
4.5 sacks.
4.5.
last
Oh my
week, yeah.
goodness. So he's eaten. So I mean, that's going to be their biggest challenge going in the week is how do you protect Kyler? How do you keep him upright? How do you keep Aiden Hutchinson out of the backfield? So yeah, that's what I'm focused on.
Yeah, and I think with that, we're going to have to see Kyler continue to be flexible in the pocket, being able to sit in the pocket and make those reads, as well as his escapability and deciding whether to throw it. Like we saw that deep bomb to Marvin Harrison that resulted in a touchdown. There was even a play up the sideline where the defender had kind of given up on it, and Marvin Harrison, even as a rookie, was smart enough to recognize that Kyler was extending the play, and he kind of did a 180 and started going upfield, and they got like 20-30 yards out of that. So I think where if the offensive line for the Cardinals is breaking down, we are really going to have to rely on Kyler to use his legs to extend those plays. It's funny because when you look at the Rams game in contrast, I'm sure Kyler loved not seeing Aaron Donald lined up on the other side coming at him.
Oh, I would too.
but now you're gonna have Aiden Hutchinson, where it's like, well, at least he's familiar with having a big bull come in and rushing him, so where it's not gonna be like he's shaking in his boots or anything. He's just gonna have to be aware of it. But Mike, what is your outlook for the game against Detroit looking like?
Fellas, I'm positive, right? I think when you talk about looking back at our season prediction, this is one that we all easily said we're notching it down as an L, right?
Yeah.
But we did still have the questions of where's our Dallas Cowboys win on the schedule this year, right? Where's that surprising one from a team that should be a true competitor, a championship competitor, which, I mean, if we're not mistaken, a couple of us took the Detroit Lions to come out of the NFC this year, right?
I believe so, yeah.
The Lions have started off a little bit slow, right? Their first win, they have to go to overtime against the Los Angeles Rams. Now, the Rams didn't have as many injuries as they did when they faced us, but, still Puka went down in that game. They had to force feed Cooper Kupp, and they couldn't really get a handle on him, and then they just fed David Montgomery the ball and won in overtime. And then last week, the Lions have the second overall offense in the league because Jared Goff went nuts, throwing 55 times for over 300 yards, and I think they almost had 500 total yards, but they only scored 16 points. So This is what this Arizona Cardinals defense is going to have to do on Sunday, right? It's the bend don't break mentality, right?
Task.
There might be big chunk plays. Let's be honest, it's going to happen. Sam Laporta didn't have his best outing. Honestly, it was his worst outcome of his career last week with only 2 catches for 13 yards. I'm sure they're going to get him a little bit more involved as well. They already have the two-headed monster in the backfield with Jahmyr Gibbs and David Montgomery. And Amon-Ra St. Brown, top 10 player in the league, top 10 athlete in this league. I mean, they have so many weapons, but they've started off slow to the point where I think you still have to be confident about what this Arizona Cardinals offense has put on tape the first 2 weeks. And I know Aiden Hutchinson is going to be coming off the side, but they're going to be game planning for him. So you should have confidence, man. You should.
Yeah, sorry, just to piggyback
go for it.
So we know Detroit's offense is high-powered, right? They're going to score points.
Oh, 100%.
They're going to score points, right? I mean, we can sit here and just go crazy over how this defense did last week, but it's not going to be the same this week. Detroit's going to come in, and I have a feeling they're going to score points at will.
They have one of the best offensive lines in the league.
Yeah,
too.
so it's going to be tough for us to create pressure. It's going to be tough for us to just stop them in general, right? And you guys already know, if you go back and look at one of the streams we did, my player to watch was David Montgomery. I love David Montgomery. The guy runs, he's like James Conner. The guy runs with violence, a full head of steam. He's just a power back. The guy is just a monster. So, and then you pair that with Jahmyr Gibbs, the dude, he's the speed back, right? So it's a crazy 1-2 hit that they got with that, and it's going to be a task for the Cardinals defense. So that's why my focus was on how do we stop Hutchinson, because we're going to have to keep up with the Lions offense. So, I'm going to look up what the point total is for this, but I have a feeling it's going to be a high scoring affair. And I mean, if we can keep up with them, I like our chances too. I do. I think, and then think about it, dude. Come Monday, if the Cardinals pull off a win against the Lions.
Man.
Oh, dude. I mean, we would be all over every headline and all those major sports talk shows. It would be great.
We'll get the full attention of the national media at that point. And I think it's important to note, correct me if I'm wrong here, but 4 of our first 5 opponents this season were playoff teams last year. The Rams snuck in last year
they did,
into the wild card spot, right? So you're already 1-1 against playoff teams. You got this matchup against Detroit.
Should be 2 now.
Yeah, honestly, it should be. We thought it was going to be a shootout with the Rams, but only one team showed up. Luckily, that was the Cardinals. Granted, I don't want to give I hate to keep giving the Rams the excuse of them being banged up. I do think that they aren't the same team as they were last year, but not having Nakua or Kupp for the majority of that game was significant. It wasn't nothing. To where it kind of made it easier for the Cardinals to defend that. And when we look at this week 3 matchup coming up, we'll see how it shakes out. But I think the Lions now have 2 weeks of tape to see what kind of schemes the Cardinals run and stuff like that. But it works both ways, right? Because the Cardinals have been able to see the Lions as well, and they have gotten off to not quite the booming start that everyone expected. I mean, Amon-Ra St. Brown is one of the top receivers, probably one of the top players, like Mike said, but his numbers haven't been very flashy. Has he even gotten in the end zone yet?
I don't think so, but he had 11 catches last week.
Oh,
so
that's not bad. Yeah.
He started to get into the fold a little bit better. But I think the other thing too is what can set teams apart overall, guys? The quarterback play, right?
Sure.
And if you look at the quarterback matchup this upcoming week, who are you taking right now, right? Off of their starts of the season, I think you have to go Kyler Murray, man.
Yeah.
Just within his camaraderie that he's building with these new weapons, with his young guys, the leadership that he's showing, the ability to make the correct decisions through an entire 60 minutes worth of a game, right? Those were always our concerns that we had with Kyler Murray. And now don't get me wrong, it's only been 2 games. We still need 6 to 8 games to see how really full impact of a season goes, right? But Jared Goff is a little bit limited. He's kind of like Matthew Stafford. I mean, guys, he's no spring chicken.
Right, and you know what you're going to get. Yeah.
He's not going to be scrambling out of the pocket. He's not going to be extending plays like Josh Allen. So you're going to have to get pressure, right? Totally, 100%. But I think you're going to have a little bit easier time of containing him within the pocket and making things a little bit tougher for him as well. Man, yeah, I think what is the point total is 51.5?
Yeah, 51.5, which is the highest.
Oof.
And the money line's only Detroit -3 right now.
Yeah,
Really?
so that's a spread. The spread is -3,
right.
so it's in favor of Detroit. But yeah, the total points for the game is 51.5. It's the highest out of the entire week of the NFL. The next closest, 49.5. And that's that Saints-Eagles game.
Yeah.
So
the Saints have been
on fire,
numbers,
dude.
yeah.
I mean, I think they scored 40 points in their first 2 games. And then we know the Eagles aren't what the Eagles used to be. So,
Nope.
I mean, Vegas is saying it. They're saying it's going to be a high-scoring game. And I think it's got every piece that it needs to be a high-scoring game.
Would you take the over?
So at 51.5, 52, so what, 26 each. So, I mean, a team to win. Yeah, someone's going to score 35 easy.
Dude, yeah. I
would
don't
take the over. I would.
Huh.
I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
I would.
The way that this Arizona Cardinals offense is starting games as well, right? It's consecutive drives that they're finding points. It's so far different from previous Cardinals teams that we've seen. Drew Petzing is scripting up something special each week within the 2-game sample size, right? You get it, but for them to score 4 touchdowns a week is just not off the table, man, with the amount of weapons that they have and with Kyler Murray being 100% healthy. So if we score 28 and they score 24, there you go. There's the line. Then that's easy, right? That's easy to see coming from a high-profiled offense like the Detroit Lions as well. So put it on the over, baby.
Yeah, man. And like I said, we are recording this early, so I don't want to go super long on this Detroit game. We are going to have a recap for you out. It came out on Monday. If you're watching this now, it's already up on our YouTube channel. We're going to do a Cardinals recap every single week through the season. We get on there, we tell you the score, we tell you what we saw, give you a player of the game. We get out. It's a quick watch. You should check it out. And while you're there,
And we'll have a special one for week 4, Chris.
and we will have a special one for week 4 against the Commanders while we are all live in attendance at State Farm Stadium in Glendale, right next to not the cabanas, the casitas.
Casitas,
casitas.
mamacita.
Baby, not in the casitas, casita adjacent.
Casita Jason.
I like that.
Yeah,
That's
thanks
perfect.
for clarifying.
Yeah, of course. So
Yeah.
I'm sure we'll be getting some posts out there as much as we can get reception in Glendale with whatever
come on.
30,000 people in attendance. But yeah, that should be a good time. I mean, and looking forward, like we said, Commanders in week 4. Then we'll play the 49ers in San Francisco or Santa Clara, wherever the fuck they play, in week 5. And then we're heading to Green Bay in the not-so-frozen tundra in October to take on the Packers. Great time to be going to Lambeau is in October.
Is Jordan Love going to be playing?
I think so at that point.
Do you think he's back?
He's already been listed as questionable. I think
Okay.
he's been a limited participant. But yeah, that's a big thing.
You
Dude,
never know.
that's what the beautiful thing about doing predictions before season starts is comparative to following along. Because then, depending on what happens, man, you have to take a look and see what needs to be adjusted when these guys go down and these guys get hurt. I mean, Deebo Samuel and Christian McCaffrey probably aren't going to be in that San Francisco 49ers game against us.
Yes.
What does that
Well,
change?
McCaffrey's definitely not going to
So-
be in that game.
Yeah, so that's a great point.
And
It's like,
also Samuel's not either, so they're not going to have either of them.
well,
yeah.
exactly. And so I guess obviously when we did our season predictions, all these guys were healthy. So I guess we're going to stick to them, obviously. But if we were going to do revised predictions through week 6, when we're talking about obviously we're 1-1 right now. We got Detroit, Washington, San Francisco, and Green Bay. By the end of week 6, what do you guys think the Cardinals' record is going to be?
5-1. We're going 16-1, Chris. No, I think we're still kind of along the fence of around 500. I still kind of feel that way. Now
I
that's
would go 3-3.
that's where
conservative. That's conservative.
conservative.
We still
right?
lose to San Fran.
Talk to me next week. What does this game against Detroit Lions look like, guys? That's why I'm saying the ebbs and flows of an NFL season are just awesome, especially to have a platform to talk about it as well, because then you can kind of go back and see, okay, where did I get things right and where did I get things wrong? And I hope I'm wrong about 500 record.
Right.
I hope it's
I hope so
shooting
too.
up above that.
Well, the beautiful thing about it, though, is if we come out and we whoop the Lions, we're going to sit here and go, man, maybe we're going to win more games than our prediction, right? Because I think us collectively, we all picked them to lose to the Lions. Did we not?
Yes.
I believe
we
so.
did.
Yeah, for sure.
We did.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, as much as I want to,
But-
I want to nail my prediction. I'd love to see them win.
Yeah,
10,
but like
11.
Mike said, this could be our Dallas Cowboys game. This
Yeah.
one right here, it could be it.
Why can't every game be our Dallas Cowboys
Well,
game?
it could be.
you
I
know?
mean, take advantage of a beat-up 49ers team. I don't think there's any reason that we can't be at least competitive in
because
that game.
they just lost to the Vikings, right?
Correct.
Sam Darnold. Do you remember how much shit I talked about Sam Darnold? And I think he's like, if you looked up the season stats so far through 2 weeks, I think he's like top 3 or top
I'm pretty
4
sure, yeah,
in
he's doing
quarterback.
pretty good.
I mean, when you throw a 97-yard bomb to Justin Jefferson,
Yeah, he threw
your
one,
numbers
but-
get inflated.
Yeah.
When you have Justin Jefferson
Yeah,
to do
that
that,
too.
I mean,
So it's crazy.
yeah, no, it honestly
It's
is
been a
crazy.
weird season, man.
But like Mike said, just to kind of piggyback off that, I do love having this platform where we can speak freely. Right now, we don't have any sponsors. We're not beholden to any higher power. We don't have any partnerships with the Cardinals directly. And I feel like there are some local hosts and shows that are kind of tied to the Cardinals, and I think they kind of have to hold their tongue sometimes, and they can't truly speak what they're feeling. But believe, guys, what we're saying here is 100% our genuine from the heart opinion. 3-3, guys. I don't think that's out of the realm. I could see us 4-2. I'm saying 4-2 because I think we could either steal this one against Detroit or this one against the 49ers
Or the Packers.
or definitely the Packers. We can beat the
Yeah.
Packers.
Okay.
Or being supremely optimistic, I think we could beat Detroit and the 49ers. But do we get
Well, then you're going to beat the
do-
Commanders.
well,
so
I'm
then-
saying, but do we get caught in a trap game with the Commanders where if we do win this week, we're riding high 2-1, we beat two, teams that we were expected to lose to, and then we kind of get caught in a trap against the hometown return of Jaden Daniels
No, you mean Kliff Kingsbury.
and Kliff Kingsbury.
Yeah, all right, yeah.
I mean, technically, it is kind of both hometown returns, right?
Is Jaden Daniels from here? Did he go to high school
I
here?
don't think so.
Probably not. I want to say he's from like California or Oregon, something like that.
California sounds right.
Hey,
That's
keep
the
an
easy
eye
guess.
on that week 4 broadcast, man. We're gonna have some nice seats, and we're gonna have a sign. If you see it, you're gonna know it. So just keep an eye out.
Hopefully we can catch the attention of the stadium cameras. That would be like Mike's got a good plan. I hope we execute.
We have a plan.
He's from California.
He is from California. Okay,
San Bernardino.
I'm not shocked. Yeah. Well, so guys, of course we're gonna keep talking about the Cardinals. They are just getting their season started. Got plenty to go. Just a few more topics though. Just kind of on not game specific topics. Mike, you were kind of telling me that the national media is really loving them some Kyler Murray right now. Are we finally getting the respect?
Well, I think you're getting respect off of one game, and Kyler's jersey went to the Hall of Fame because of what was it? He was the second quarterback ever to have a perfect passer rating with 3 touchdowns and over 50 yards or something like that.
250 passing, 50 rushing.
So when you enter the record books, it's at least smart to recognize as a national media pundit what has happened. And they were doing breakdowns, man. They were doing breakdowns of his 8-second scramble where he found Elijah Higgins in the back of the end zone. Obviously, there was a lot of breakdowns of the Marvin Harrison Jr. touchdowns as well. They seem to be liking what the Cardinals have done to start. And it's awesome to see, man. I think at the end of the day, as a fan of your favorite team, it's awesome to be shown love by those higher ups, because what have the conversations that we've had all in the past been about? These people are making comments about our team, and it's clear that they haven't watched a damn second. So now they're watching. Now they're a little bit more informed, and they can see what's truly happening in the Valley, where things are changing, man. This culture is absolutely changing. Johnathan Gannon is a fucking alpha male stepping it in and just being the guy to lead these fellas. You got Drew Petzing, Nick Rallis, coming into their own within their second opportunities. We're building something right now here in the Valley, and it seems like all these guys are built in. And I say the alpha male stuff because I was hearing on the radio, Johnathan Gannon came into the media room the other day, and he's like, I got to bring you guys up, and we're going to just rip back some espresso shots. Like, he's just like, when somebody
you laugh like
now,
that.
I don't know.
It can, for some people, you can think that it's corny, right? It comes back to the Rondell Moore shots, explosions, that kind of stuff. But there also is a sense of comfortability that comes out of that in knowing who you are to be comfortable to say those kind of things. Why are you laughing about that?
He's still laughing at me. He's still laughing at me.
Espresso,
the espresso?
That got
like
me,
that?
dude. I love some espresso, man.
He's a big espresso guy, dude.
But
I am a big espresso
okay.
guy.
Sorry, Mike. I'm not laughing at what you're saying. I'm sorry.
It also is a sense of seeing these different media people every day on that he has to talk to, right? It's part of his job, but building a different camaraderie with them as well. And he is the leader, man. He continues to put himself out as a leader. So people are buying into what's happening here in Arizona, and it's cool to see it from a national standpoint.
Yeah, no, without a doubt. And fuck you, Tallman.
Okay, I'm sorry. Okay.
For the you don't like espresso?
No, I
You
love
just
espresso.
outed you on espresso?
I have one as well.
We can go downstairs and rip some espresso shots right now. We can.
Absolutely.
We can.
Where you started, Mike?
We can put on some Sabrina Carpenter, man. It'll be great.
Okay, well, hold on. So
fuck
then the
is
last
Sabrina
the last
Carpenter?
thing too, I think the mentality,
okay, no, I know.
she's gonna don't break her heart, motherfucker.
Yeah, motherfucker.
That lady.
Yeah.
But Dennis Gardeck came out too about talking about going up against the Detroit Lions offensive line, and he basically said, it's like, yeah, they got some pretty good athletes for offensive linemen, but at the end of the day, they're offensive linemen. It's like, that's dog mentality, man.
Yes,
I'm telling you, that's dog mentality,
I love
and
it.
that has come from Johnathan Gannon.
Yeah. No,
agree.
I'm all in on John Gannon. I love everything that he's doing. I remember even like it was either like right before, I think it was right when he got hired. There was a story about him driving to either the NFC Championship game. He made the Super Bowl with the Eagles, right?
Yeah, he like took the bus or
I think he was like in his car. He was driving there and he was like blasting like some metal music or something. And like some Eagle fans like were like, "Oh, John Gannon." And he was like, "We're going to fucking win." And like he was all like pumped up. Like, so he's got like on game day, John Gannon's probably just fucking locked in. Way like you can't even compare him to Kliff Kingsbury, because I've said it before. Sorry if there's any children listening. Kliff Kingsbury looked like a scared pussy on the sideline every single week. He looked way in over his head, like he didn't know what he was doing.
He did, and he looked like he hadn't slept for a week.
Right, he probably didn't. And I don't know why he just got so much unfettered. I don't want to rehash Kliff Kingsbury, but how come Steve Keim or Michael Bidwell never sat him down after any point to be like, hey, man, hire an offensive coordinator, or you step down, be the offensive coordinator, and we'll bring in someone else to be the head coach? That's probably unrealistic. But
even then, you had Vance Joseph, who was the head coach of the Broncos for 3 seasons, right? So it's like you had... So it made sense.
You could have put him in the head coach.
I mean, you could have, but it's just the split of, hey, you do defense, I do offense. Obviously, it didn't work.
No.
Yeah,
it didn't work at all. And the like Mike said, we're building something here, and it is a bit of a cliche, but it's a culture that has completely shifted here in the Valley with this Cardinals team, where they are taking every week seriously. They're coming prepared, and you can tell the players respect it a lot more too. Kyler Murray, I don't think he respected Kliff Kingsbury. I think he saw him as more of a big brother than an actual person that he needs to listen to and follow the lead of. Versus now, John Gannon isn't that much older than Kliff Kingsbury, I don't think, but he does command that respect, and he comes in here with the expectation that I am the leader, I am the head coach, you're going to listen to me. I am the captain now, look at me. That is John Gannon, and I love it. And Nick Rallis and Drew Petzing, they're pretty young guys too, but what they're doing, I think, is really working out, and they're going to be able to continue to build on that. So will this be the season we make the playoffs? Maybe not. Will next season? It damn well better be.
Yeah.
It damn well better be.
There you
better
go.
Fucking be.
You heard it here first, folks.
But within that,
no more moral victories.
No more. No. There are no more moral victories.
That is over.
And so to kind of just relay that into the next couple things I had to talk about. We did see after week 1 some comments that Kyler Murray made that were somewhat taken out of context, where essentially he said it wasn't his job to get the ball to Marvin Harrison, or have plays to where the ball is getting to Marvin Harrison. He said that's Drew's job, basically saying like Kyler throws it where Drew's telling him to throw it. And I don't think it's uncalled for or out of pocket for people to have taken some exception to that, because Kyler Murray's in his 7th, 8th year.
This is his 6th NFL season, if I'm not mistaken.
A little bit ahead of myself here. But regardless, he's the franchise quarterback. He's cemented that position. And yeah, he's coming off an injury, but at a certain point in every great NFL quarterback's career, they have the free reign to be able to call plays on the line, in the huddle, in no huddle situations, to call audibles. So if Kyler sees something he likes where he thinks Marvin Harrison could get open, he can call that audible, call a hot route for Harrison Jr. and get him open. And we didn't see that in week 1. But in week 2, we kind of did see the breakout of Marvin Harrison Jr., where he had the 4 receptions, 130 yards, 2 touchdowns. My only concern there is that all happened in the first quarter. And he had 8 targets on the day. And even Marv said, yeah, he wished he had caught more. And so I love to see Marvin Harrison Jr. taking accountability, but he should be like Amon-Ra St. Brown, like Justin Jefferson, getting 10 to 15 targets every game. Am I wrong?
You're not wrong at all. I mean, 10. So the sweet spot would be 12 to 15, right? I mean, your number one receiver should get at least 12 targets every single game. And it shouldn't be just in the first quarter. It should be, every single drive, every single time you have the football.
Yep.
But going back to the comments about Kyler, it is his job to get the ball to the best receiver on the field. It is. He's the one that snaps the ball. He's the one that holds it, and he's the one that decides who to throw to. That's
pretty simple, right?
That is so barbaric of me to say, oh, well, he has the ball. He chooses where it goes. Obviously, it's so much more complex than that. He's going through progressions, his reads, and all that shit. I get that. But at the same time, it's like, what we said on the stream, it's like, dude, you can't wait. You're never open in the NFL unless it's busted coverage and there's no one on you, and you're wide open, and you're about to fucking crawl in the end zone for a touchdown. It's like when someone's on you, they're on you. Like you have to throw them open, or you got to force it to them. And then with that game, it was like, it felt like the first 5 passes went to Marvin, right? Did it not? It felt like that.
It seemed like very intentional.
Yeah, and then there was a couple where it's like he's running, and then there's a guy on top of him, and he did the turnaround, and there was there's a dude on him. He wasn't open.
When dudes are banging you.
Yeah, when dudes are banging you, you gotta flip him over on his back,
and you gotta get open. Sorry,
but no, that's Charles.
Yeah, that's Charles.
Yeah. That's a good one. But no, but like you saw even in that first quarter, it was like there was times where he threw the ball at him when he wasn't even open. It's like you can't tell me that wasn't in his head or that wasn't talked about behind closed doors. Like he can come out and say that, Gannon can say another thing, Petzing can say another thing. Bullshit. You know, they went in there like, hey, okay, all right, guys, maybe we need to
My
like,
bad.
maybe we need to like try to like force the ball to them, and we saw it right out of the gates.
Let him make plays.
Yeah, why it didn't happen in the second, third, or fourth quarter? Granted, there was that one, like you're talking about the jump ball in the end zone, the fade. I mean, he should have had 3 touchdowns, right? But,
yeah, well, it just real quick, exactly what you're talking about, though, is like you got to put it where only they can get it, and they're going to be in coverage. And what comes to mind is that incredible catch that Trey McBride had in double coverage, basically, where he went up and fucking snagged it. Marvin Harrison's not one of these small 5'10" receivers. He's a pretty tall dude.
He's 6'4".
Yeah, he can get
big.
it.
And I think some of that, fellas, also comes down to just general flow and feel of the game between each player, right? Trey McBride has had a couple of seasons with Kyler Murray now.
True.
Right? Especially the end of last year when Kyler came back. He's a trusted guy, so he's not going to be worried about throwing that high pinpoint ball where Trey is literally almost 180 degrees back trying to grab that thing.
Crazy.
I mean, the other ball I think of too is that 25-yard out to Michael Wilson that he put in between 2 defenders. I mean, like, yeah, it was open, but how open was it, right? Tallman, you hit it perfectly. That's the NFL game, right? So as these guys spend more and more time together, when I'm saying Kyler Murray and Marvin Harrison Jr., that trust is going to come. And it's coming faster than we probably realize, right? But to touch on Kyler Murray's comments as well, yes, some of them were taken out of context. Yes, Kyler Murray still has to make he's literally the only one who can get the ball to Marvin Harrison Jr., right? But I think it's also the progression and the growth of Kyler Murray as a professional and a football player to understand that he knows that he has to get his main guys involved, but he also knows that he has to continue to make the right decisions to not turn the football over, to continue to help extend plays, to make the right decisions for this offense to be churning the way that it is and almost putting up 500 yards per game, right? So throughout the first 2, he's doing that, and he's doing that well. But at the same time, in the age of social media, like you guys said, there ain't no way and no how that these guys aren't hearing it. Even when everybody always wants to come out to the podium and say, we block out all that external noise.
Yeah.
Bullshit. You heard it. And they game planned for it, which I give them a hell of a lot credit for. Because sometimes people will shade away from criticism that people will give to you, but this is constructive criticism. We saw it. 130 yards on 4 catches, 2 touchdowns from a possible generational talent. You have to get him involved, and you have to get him involved early and a lot. And it started last week, so I'm excited to see where it goes.
Yeah, and I think that first week it was like the fewest yards or something by a first-round wide receiver in X number of years. There's always these crazy advanced stats that come out. Yeah, it was like a bad record that he was. It wasn't like a record, but it was like, lowest amount since whatever crazy number of years, 20 years.
And he made up for it.
Did you see that other cool stat though, where it was like the first rookie receiver to score 2 touchdowns within a first quarter of a game? He was the second one, since
Marvin Harrison.
Since his dad, dude.
Yeah,
Come on.
I did see that.
That's awesome.
Ain't that the
really
dopest
cool.
shit
That's
you've ever
really
heard, man?
That is fucking sweet. And I don't think, we're just 2 games in, guys. I don't think this is the end of the Cardinals setting records this season. Hopefully it's good records. There are bad records, like when the Dolphins crushed the Broncos. What was it, 71-0?
Yeah,
they
71-7. I think they scored a touchdown.
Oh, okay, because it's like, what do they call it? The scoregami, where it's like that was the only time. So hopefully we don't get any of those scoregamis that are against our favor. But Guys, yeah, so we'll have to see what happens with the Cardinals. There's just one last thing. I did want to check in with you guys. I know you have a friendly wager for, number of receptions for Michael Wilson and the suspended Zay Jones. So obviously, Mike took Michael Wilson because Cody hates him.
No,
and Cody took Zay Jones. So obviously, Zay Jones, zero catches.
Word,
Zero.
Zay Jones has zero catches.
Big old goose egg.
Well, he's played 0 fucking
Big old
minutes.
goose egg.
Jesus Christ.
0 snaps,
All right,
0
so,
minutes.
Obviously, no one's running away with it yet.
Well, that's what I was saying, dude. It's funny.
So-
I was saying to Tallman before we started the pod, I was like, just my luck, man. Watch. By the time that Zay Jones gets back from his suspension, Michael Wilson's going to have 10 catches. So that is easy to catch.
Yeah, it's very possible that's the case. But
Easy
then
to
it's
catch.
a lot more intricate than, Zay Jones is back. Okay, well, where does he fit in?
Yeah.
Especially
Great
if we
point.
rip off, if we keep on such a hot trend here with the offense, which there's no reason to believe that we can't, where does Zay Jones fit in? But Zay Jones might be a deep threat that we're missing, right? Because that's what he's been known for. So, but yeah, I think Wilson has 3 catches.
3 catches.
Three
so far.
catches. Zay Jones has 0, obviously.
So he might be lucky to have 10 catches by the time Zay Jones
Yeah,
Yeah,
because you had 3 more games.
Because he
3
comes
more
back
games.
week 5?
Week 6, he's back.
Oh, week
Mike
6.
had the touchdown against the Bills, and then he had 2 catches last week.
And then he dropped a really big catch against the Bills in that second half.
I'm with you.
Yeah.
So
I wish he would have caught that. I
whole
wish it was
bet-
4 catches for him.
the whole bet still came about because Tallman didn't want to accept that Michael Wilson is wide receiver number 2, right? He is wide
Correct.
receiver number 2, but he's not option number 2.
True.
You got a whole bunch of guys that you got to feed beforehand. You got to make sure James Conner is touching the ball 20 to 25 times a game, whether that be on the ground or catching the football out of the backfield. You got to continue to get Trey McBride involved, man. He's too talented of a player to not be involved in the passing game. And then obviously as time goes on, and what we're hoping is 12 to 15 targets for Marvin Harrison Jr. So where are the leftovers going at that point? It's still probably going to be Michael Wilson and Zay Jones are on the outside looking in regard to opportunities.
They are, and you still have Greg Dortch, too.
That's the other thing. So that's why if Dortch doesn't play this weekend, which he has a hamstring injury,
It's true.
I'm hoping Mike gets like 5-6 catches this week.
You
I
think
need a
so?
little
Well,
bit.
how does your hamstring feel?
It ain't feeling good, guys.
You
I got
can't
the
suit
strap,
up tomorrow?
I got the strap on right
Okay.
now. It ain't feeling good.
All
But
right. Mike's got the strap on. Watch out.
so I need
Keep him away
I need
from
to
me.
balloon
Yeah.
those numbers. By week 6, I need like 20 catches from Mike, or else I'm gonna be nervous.
It's not impossible.
I wouldn't be that nervous, honestly.
I'm always nervous.
I mean, you're going to see Zay Jones come back, and Wilson's probably going to outsnap Zay Jones every game.
oh yeah.
Yeah.
to start, but
So-
I mean, what are we talking like by week 10? Their snap count's probably looking pretty similar, depending on how Zay
don't
Jones
know.
assimilates
I mean-
and how he's looking.
I don't think Michael Wilson can make it through 10 games.
But the difference
There it is. There it is again,
Okay.
folks.
But
I just honestly, I think
I think a big difference for me though, when I'm looking at these
I'm
two
just
is Michael Wilson's a guy we drafted, and sure, you want to get him involved, but Zay Jones is a guy you went out and signed off of free agency. So,
you didn't pay him that much though.
well, because you probably knew he was going to be suspended for a little bit, has a little bit of baggage.
Mm-hmm.
He wasn't bad for Jacksonville though.
No, he was good.
Zay
Yeah,
Jones is pretty
solid.
Well, he was hurt last year. I think he missed. What was it? We were going over the numbers. He missed more games than Michael Wilson last year,
Yeah, Mike
and
only
he
missed
still
4.
had 7 or 8 more catches than him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's because Jacksonville threw the ball a lot more too.
Oh, yeah,
Like
yeah.
we ran the hell out of the ball last year.
And that'll be another
But
factor. Yeah.
I think your comments, Chris, that you make about Michael Wilson being drafted comparative to Zay Jones being a guy that was brought in free agency as well. What has Monty Osfort and Johnathan Gannon's system to start really been predicated on?
Running the ball.
Accumulating draft picks.
Accumulating draft picks, bringing in young talent, giving them opportunities early to see if they're going to be a part of this future. So Michael Wilson is going to continue to get his lion's share of on-field time. Now, it doesn't mean targets or catches or anything like that, but it's going to be continuous opportunities to be on the field to see how he can develop as a second guy on the outside of a bona fide number one receiver and how he can be incorporated within a game plan. They're going to continue to give him those opportunities over Zay Jones. Zay Jones is going to be a change of pace kind of guy, right? Same way as Trey Benson is for James Conner.
Yeah, but it's...
I agree.
I'll let you go real quick, but I just want to quickly chime in and say, like, it's not like Zay Jones didn't go through the entire training camp with this team. It's not like he's a complete stranger coming in from the outside in.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, I already said it. You know, I would bet a house payment that Wilson is going to outsnap Jones. It's going to happen, right? And then Jones is going to be, you already said it, situational guy where it's going to be an obvious pass down. They're going to bring out 4 wide receivers, and Jones is going to be on the field. And he's probably going to run a streak route all the way up the sideline. You know, that's probably all he's going to do. You know, and I wish, or not wish.
So you guys should have done a yards bet instead.
That's what I tried to do. Do you remember? I tried to do yards, and you wouldn't do
I don't
it.
do yards.
You wouldn't do yards.
We talked about why we didn't do yards.
Because Michael Wilson has like 30 yards.
I
right
literally
now.
just described why the entire reasoning of why I said receptions is because they want Michael Wilson to be a part of this future.
We're talking
He's
about the
going
bet,
to be giving,
not about the
but
future
that's
of
why
the
I
Cardinals.
went
It's
for
all- it
receptions
all
because
ties
he
I'm
would
thinking
have
about
more.
my wager.
Well, and that's
Fuck
why.
the Cardinals.
And that's why you took a bad bet, my friend. You took a bad
See,
bet.
you're just so stubborn.
Well,
you just can't,
hey, Tallman knows.
Why can't you just like work
Tallman
with
knows
me?
a thing or two about bad bets. Just go look at the
Well.
Tallman
and,
ticket.
and then hey, that's funny. That was a knee slapper right there.
I hurt his feelings.
It's really hard to hurt my feelings. No, I mean, yeah, I took a bad bet, and then it turned into an even worse bet when he got suspended for 5 weeks. And I tried to reason with Mike. I said, "Hey, let's start at week 6," and he said,
"Absolutely not."
Yeah, there you go. You'll hear it from the horse's
You
mouth.
can't change the terms of the bet when the
come
bet
on.
has been made.
I thought you would, be feeling for me and be like, "Shit, yeah, that sucks." What if it was my guy that got suspended for domestic violence?
This was basically my version of giving you the 1-800 gambler card.
We're not even doing it for what
Tallman.
was the
He got
what was the wager anyway?
he got suspended for conduct detrimental to the league.
Yes.
Didn't he choke his girlfriend?
I don't know.
It was conduct detrimental
Yeah.
to the league.
It's factual. I'm not making it up. It's out there. You can Google it.
No, you're right.
I'm pretty sure
but
that's
it
what
was-
it was. Right?
Yeah.
But yeah, it was conduct
I mean, I'm
detrimental to the league.
Yeah, well, yeah.
Both things can be true at
He's on
once.
he was on the commissioner list. No, he's not on it.
What I do think is a little fucked up is that the league waited
We're not
until
condoning any of his behavior.
a week before the season started
Yeah.
to hand down that suspension. I
Come
think
on.
that's kind of ass. I mean, whether
Go
they
through all training camp and you don't?
whether they
Well,
gave the
it's
team
'cause
advance notice or not.
The charges were dropped. He didn't get charged anything criminally.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
Yeah. I mean,
but the NFL has their own agenda. I shouldn't have used the word agenda, but they do. Where, okay, well, the law's not going to discipline you, but hey, guess what? We will.
we certainly will. Yeah, because I mean, I get both sides of the argument. I mean, obviously, reputationally, you don't want your players and your league being in the news in a negative light.
That's their agenda.
Yeah,
that's exactly what it is.
But on the other hand, we do have a justice system in this country, and however corrupt it might be at times, like if a person is found innocent or charges are dropped, then why not let it go? But I don't want to get too much into that.
But he wasn't found innocent. It's like if
that's true. He wasn't found. Yeah, because it didn't go to trial.
If I
it
punched
was
you in the
dropped.
face and I got arrested and you came back 2 weeks later, you're like, no, I don't want to go through with it. I don't want to proceed with any criminal filings or anything. And then they go, okay, all right, the guy that punched you in the face is free to go. I still did it, right? It still happened. So I think that's what this is. And the NFL's coming in. They're doing the right thing. The NFL's doing the right thing, right?
But that's the league playing judge, jury, and executioner.
Exactly, yeah. It's like, what if you punched me in the face, got arrested, I didn't want to press charges, and then you went to work on Monday and they're like, no, Chris, you're not allowed to be here.
We saw that video.
Yeah. No,
I don't
you
even know
can't
if it
be
was
here.
on video. I don't think it was.
But I think it was.
You
But
punching
that's-
me in the face.
No, I
Or wait, no, was I punching you in the face in this analogy?
So-
Okay,
see, I just switched it around.
okay.
It's confusing.
Are we going to
Okay.
start sports legal podcast?
Like-
Yeah.
Sounds like
Okay,
Yeah.
all right. So you see here, if you punched me in
Bro.
the face, and then I punched you in the face.
There's
No, I need actual
watched while
statutes.
we
You can't
punched
just.
each other.
I need the
then
research.
say we
I need the
connected.
statutes.
When
man.
Jacksonville
At the same
statute
time.
X30F says that if I punch you with my left hand, it's not as bad as if I punch you with my right
What
hand.
if I punch you with my big toe?
Okay.
Non-dominant.
Okay.
All right, we're getting too much in the weeds
All
with
right.
this, so
Yes, we are.
let's go ahead, keep it pushing on to another topic here, and I want to talk about the Arizona Diamondbacks, but not in the topic or sense that you might think. It's around some news that broke this week about their current stadium situation, where they lease Chase Field from Maricopa County, who owns Chase Field, and I think their current deal goes through 2027, so they do still have a couple of years to figure it out. Each side has proposed some different kind of deals. We can get more into it, but basically the Diamondbacks are looking for a 10-year deal with some flexibility, and the county has offered a 50-year deal with some flexibility. But also within that, the county wants them to fork over $150 million for the renovations, because even currently the Diamondbacks are responsible for maintaining the building. And as we've talked about, there have been some issues with Chase Field and kind of the upkeep there, where there's like concrete pieces falling. There was a huge thing with the plumbing a few years back, excuse me. And then obviously the retractable roof is basically a liability. Some Final Destination shit could happen at any minute if you're not careful. Where basically the cables, I don't know if it's they're too old or they're not strong enough or exactly what the situation is there, but I think, if I'm not mistaken, back in the day, it would be like everyone gets into the stadium, the roof is closed, and then right before the game starts, there's a huge pomp and circumstance where the dramatic music's playing and the roof is slowly opening, and it was really, really fucking awesome. But
it was a spectacle. Yeah.
It was, yeah, and very unique, something that wasn't very, as far as like domed stadiums, I think they were one of the first to have a retractable roof like that in sports even. Now the Diamondbacks have one of the oldest stadiums in the league, and very, kind of handcuffed on location and things like that. So I want to talk about the greater implications, but Mike, I think you had some of the remarks from each side here on the county and Diamondbacks.
Yeah, and first and foremost, this basically just seems like two toddlers fighting at the playground trying to get a toy. Man, this is getting ridiculous. But you already touched on it, Chris. Maricopa County basically stated that their proposal was requiring a 50-year lease with the team to commit $150 million for stadium maintenance. They did come out with a letter, and they said the current memorandum of understanding places the responsibility of maintaining the structure squarely on the team. So, like you said before as well, reports of falling concrete and excessive heat are an indication that the party responsible for the structure may not be taking the steps necessary to maintain a safe and friendly environment. I mean, guys, I just keep thinking back to that Morgan Wallen concert a couple months back, or was it last year? Maybe last year, but I knew a lot of people who went to that, and they said it was grossly hot in the building, right? So
I believe it.
And they weren't happy, Maricopa County, the Board of Supervisors, from the proposal from the team, which included the 10-year lease with an option to end the lease on short notice, which they stated was neither practical nor viable. But what I'm saying is the toddlers fighting in the sand pit over this toy is basically kind of what the Diamondbacks came out and said as well, right? We found this letter extremely offensive, especially since we have come to the table with hundreds of millions in resources to help renovate a ballpark we do not own, while the county has offered no dollars at all. So I know Derek Hall was on Arizona Sports talking about his displeasure with what's going on with Maricopa County. Yeah, we do have time. 2027 is not that far away, though. It's 2 years at this point.
You don't have time to build a new stadium.
This is not good news. This is not in a good spot. Maricopa County kind of backtracked because their first reports came out and they were saying, we're pleased with the progress that we're making with the Diamondbacks. And now I think after what the Diamondbacks stated, they doubled down and came out with, it's not viable what you were proposing. And you ain't taking care of your own shit. Why are we going to give you a cut? This isn't good, fellas. This is not good. I don't like this one bit.
No, and who was it? It was Mike Hazen that went on the local Arizona Sports.
Was it Mike?
It's Derek Hall.
Oh, Derek Hall, excuse me. You're right.
President and CEO.
The president and CEO. And just kind of, frustrating. He was expressing his frustration, but I think as fans, we're also pretty frustrated because this is not good, guys. Like, having one of your major sports teams already leave the Valley and go to another state because you couldn't figure out an arena situation, having the Cardinals all the way out in Glendale, I mean, that works for them for only playing 8 home games a year or whatever it is. But the writing's on the wall for this to get very bad. I mean, even before this news broke last year, I remember we were talking about the potential of the Diamondbacks moving to Las Vegas before the A's kind of jumped on that, and that's not what any of us want. I think, Mike, you're absolutely right. It is like a couple toddlers fighting in the sandbox over a toy where they're going to have to meet in the middle somewhere. But my biggest fear, and when this news broke, I texted Tallman right away, where it just kind of seems like, I don't know if it's Maricopa County or the people of Arizona, but it's almost like they don't want sports teams here.
It's wild, man.
And you remember when the Suns wanted to remodel and they wanted to use the tax dollars that were specifically allocated for the Suns, it was like pulling teeth. And then the Tempe Entertainment District for the Coyotes to have their stadium, people voted against it. So you can call it the politics of it, where the county and the board of supervisors or whoever is kind of shooting this down. But I guarantee you, if this goes to a vote, it's probably going to be close to 50-50, where for whatever, I'm not going to say for whatever reason, I get it. People don't want their tax dollars to be perceived being spent on sports, when I don't think they're truly appreciating, from my perspective, the economic boom that these sports teams bring. The people that go down to the ballpark, they're driving their car down there, they're going to the restaurants, they're getting food and alcohol, and they're paying for parking, and they're buying the tickets, and that's all generating tax revenue.
Having a World Series in Phoenix. I went to one of the games, dude. You should have saw downtown Phoenix.
Yeah.
It was unbelievably crowded.
And we talk about this being a transplant city where, yeah, the Diamondbacks have pretty good attendance when they're doing good in general, but when you see the Dodgers and the Yankees and the Cubs come to town, that stadium's pretty full.
Unfortunately,
I mean, but for better or worse, that is
that's
generating money. That's bringing in revenue. It is just frustrating to me that we continue to have this conversation where I get it. I get that the Diamondbacks, they have to pitch in money, and it doesn't sound like they're unwilling to, but they want Maricopa County to also come in and contribute to that, because if the Diamondbacks have to go $150 million into their pocket, what does that take away from? Payroll. I don't know, man. I'm frustrated, and I'm kind of just at a loss, because I think the biggest point of frustration is that the fans pretty much have no say in this.
Well, of course we have no say in it, but it's crazy. The stance that they're going to take is, okay, well, the Dbacks do not own the building, right? We can agree on that.
Yes.
Yeah, they
That's
don't.
Facts.
They don't. They don't
facts,
own
yeah.
it. Are they responsible for maintaining it?
Yes, they are.
Sure. Okay. All right. So what if I rent your house, Chris, and you go, okay, you can live here, but you don't own it, but you have to take care of everything. Okay, so when your $20,000 AC units go out, do I have to pay to replace that? So this is what we're running into with the D-backs, where it's like, if people don't understand, so it was mentioned in the county's announcement, excessive heat. So we were talking about it when we went to the game on 9/11, where it was like, do you know how that ballpark is cooled down? There's a plant next door on the other side of 7th Street where it's a huge, ginormous evaporative cooler that just pumps air through huge-ass pipes under the street into the stadium, and it also services multiple buildings downtown Phoenix, but the Chase Field is the first one to get the air. So when that shit was built, so what, the stadium was built
97, I think is when they broke ground.
So how prehistoric is that type of cooling system, where they're just pumping water, cold ass water to produce cold air, and they're pumping it outside of the stadium into the stadium. So even the infrastructure with that, trying to get any type of centralized AC system in that building is going to be insurmountable. The amount of money that's going to cost, it's going to be incredible. So if you're the D-backs sitting there like, fuck that, like, just to cool the place down, because I went to the when we played the Blue Jays, it was in the beginning of July. I went on my wife's birthday with her. It was pretty warm in there. I didn't think it was that bad. It wasn't cool. And then I turned around, I listened to 98.7 the next week because we went on Friday, and then Vince Murata went to the same game I went to, and he said it was the most unbearable experience he's had temperature-wise ever in that stadium. And I was like, well, it wasn't that bad for me. But he was sitting there crying about it. Yeah. So I was like, okay, well, if he's crying about it, maybe some other boomers are crying about it. So people are upset about it. So that's high on their priority list, dude. Is like, how are we going to cool this down? And then when you have a Dbacks game and you're filling that place, you're packing it to the brim. It's the second largest stadium in the MLB after the A's left Oakland. Now it's the Dodger Stadium. Now it's Chase Field is number 2 largest capacity of MLB stadiums in the entire league. So when you have the Dodgers coming to town, obviously people want to show up to see Shohei Ohtani for good reasons, right? So when they have 50,000 bodies in that stadium, you know how hard it is to cool that down? You have doors opening, you have this and that, it's 110 degrees outside. So that's high on their priority list. So to sit there and expect the D-backs to not only perform all the other maintenance that's needed, the roof alone, that's got to be $100, $200 million to replace that roof.
Oh, I
Maybe
think that's
more.
being lenient
Yeah,
on
that's
that
probably
number,
a lot.
man.
I can't
That's
even
crazy.
begin to guess.
And then you got to worry about the roof. You got to worry about the AC. We know that they put in the new lights. They did a new sound system. You know,
Whoop-de shit.
Whoop-de-doo, right? But like even when I was telling you guys, I went to that the Phillies game during the NLCS where we were sitting in the club level, and I went to go up to the concession stand to wait in line to get a beer, and there's a huge fucking trash can, and there's a continuous leak coming from the roof. I'm like,
That's so bad, man.
we're in the fucking the championship series right now.
That's a bad look.
I'm like, I mean, I get it. Like I think it was game 4.
Was it raining? Had it been raining, or was it just like
No, it
the
was not
AC
raining.
is
No,
leaking
it's
or
No,
the
it
whatever?
was in
AC.
the club level. That's like sandwiched in between so much shit. There's no way that's coming from the roof. So I'm just like, wow. I'm like, and that was obviously last year, and I'm just like, Jesus Christ. But then you sit there and you go, okay, well, who's responsible for I'm sure they fixed that leak or whatever it was, but it's like I saw it firsthand, it falling apart, and I don't know, man. And it's just disappointing when you have the CEO and the president of the baseball team, where this team's doing good. The CEO and the president of the baseball team's doing good. He's not going anywhere. And for him to come out and say that he does not see a deal in sight with the county on their future at Chase Field, that is bad for every Diamondbacks fan. It really is.
Yeah, and that's the thing. That's what's so horrible about it is because what other option is there? I can't imagine it would be cheaper for them to go build a stadium in Tempe or God knows where else. I mean, there are just really not many options for sites for a stadium. But on the other hand, I have to think that the Diamondbacks have the more leverage here, because if the Diamondbacks aren't playing at Chase Field, what the fuck is Maricopa County going to do? You can only have so many concerts at that place.
Yeah, what
and
do
then
they do with it?
and then if the Diamondbacks aren't there, then no matter what you're
monster
responsible
truck
for, then
rallies?
all of a sudden you're responsible for the maintenance anyway. So it's like they can sit there and try and be all high and mighty and say like, well, you agreed to do the maintenance, but it's an old building now. It's what, 26, 27 years since it's been built? Like, and to ask them to sign on for another 50-year lease, twice as long as the team's even been in existence, is kind of crazy, kind of asinine to me. Now, I know, I don't know if you had pointed it out there, Mike, but I think even within their 50-year lease offer, there was an option for like as long as they gave 3 years notice. After 10 years, they could.
After 2032.
Yeah, so after
5
8 years or whatever, yeah.
Well,
It would be
because
5, 'cause
2027.
Oh, once it.
27,
Okay, yeah,
start,
okay.
So they still had an out, but
I see what you're saying, but it just, the options are not there. So I think at the end of the day, like, the Diamondbacks have to stay at Chase Field, and they're going to have to do some massive renovations, and both sides are going to have to pitch in for it.
Yeah,
And
the
they just,
county's going to have to pay. D-backs are going to have to pay.
yeah. But going back to what I said, the second that you talk about taxpayer money going to a stadium, people are going to bitch, and they're going to bitch hard.
Yeah, of course. I mean, there's a lot of people in the valley, right? And I mean, any given night, there's only 20, 30,000 people at Chase Field.
Well, and we don't.
I mean,
and
that's a tiny bit,
Very
tiny fraction
minuscule.
of the amount of people in the valley.
Yeah.
There's so many people that don't give two shits about baseball, right? But then you have the election coming up. The board of supervisors, it's turning over. There's going to be I think there's not a whole new board, but there's going to be new members on there. So this might have a different view, come November. So I don't know. They're running out of time because Where else do you play baseball in the Valley?
Well, no, go ahead, Mike. We haven't given you the
Where
floor
else
in a
do you
while.
play?
No, I mean, that's the thing, right? And obviously, I think it's a little bit different trying to relocate a baseball team for the Valley that has been here and that has won a championship, is your only major sports championship in the Valley, comparative to a dog shit team in our hockey team that was around just absolutely sucking for so many years. But everywhere they went, every place they turned, they tried to go, and it was always throwing an X in their face. No, we don't want you here.
Yeah.
I mean, you'd have to imagine that any kind of venue that has to be built for a baseball park in the surrounding areas is going to take way more land than anything that would have came with the Coyotes arena.
Yeah.
What's left? What's out there? What's really, other than Indian reservation land, like
that's
what's
all that's
left in metropolitan areas that people are going to be able to actually attend on a consistent basis?
So crazy thought here. Is there any plausible way that you could convert State Farm Stadium to host baseball?
It wouldn't work. It would not.
Would it work short term though?
Short term, if you had to do renovations where it would take a number of years to fix up Chase Field with the AC unit and the ceiling, the retractable roof and all that kind of stuff, I don't know. But yeah, like
or
if
build
you
a
had
new
to,
stadium.
If you had to go out, like where would they go? Are you telling me that they'd have to go and play in like Montreal in the old Expos arena? Like what would happen? Like,
yeah, that's
where would they go? You can't go to Tempe Diablo Stadium or anything like that. That's way too small. You can't do that.
Well, you can't play in the summer.
That's exactly
You can't play
that too.
outside.
because that was my first thought. Like my first optimistic thought was like, oh, there's plenty of
You can't
ballparks
go to
here.
No, you
I mean,
can't. In the
we
summer,
do
you
have
can't.
spring training, so maybe they could mess around. If it was like 1 year, they could mess around and play games at Salt River Fields. But that's
No,
still
you
like,
can't.
But you can't play games there in July and August.
You can't
you'd have to adjust all the game time.
play at
Even
9
then,
o'clock
man.
at night.
Merrill
You can't
Kel-
do
Mer-
that.
Merrill
Kelly-
Kelly wouldn't last 2 weeks, and he already isn't lasting
Yeah.
2 weeks.
He wouldn't last 2 innings, dude.
It's not an option.
It's exactly. It's
so
just
that's
not
why
an
it's,
option.
that's why it's so it's such daunting news for Dbacks fans, because if they don't figure out a deal, there's a huge possibility that if the Dbacks can't secure another venue here, that they're out of here. But because
that's worst case scenario. But
that's worst. Yeah, but
it's
it looks
becoming
like-
increasingly more possible, which scares me.
Yeah, the most ideal outcome would be, okay, you know, they're gonna argue over the next year. Maybe they strike a deal right before the buzzer, and then we have the D-backs staying at Chase Field. They have a whole overturn of the stadium, remodel it, and then everyone's happy, right? And then the only other option would be, hey, you know, we'll go year to year with you guys, but we're building a new stadium in this area where it's probably going to be Indian Res if it comes to that. You know, there's no other
Scottsdale?
option. Yeah.
Yeah, either Scottsdale right by
It's
Talking
Salt,
Stick.
yeah, it's Salt River. Yeah, Salt River Indian. Yeah.
There's a lot of land down here in Santan Valley.
You're
Come
looking
on out
at
to
the same-
Hilo.
You're looking at the same issues with Glendale, fellas.
Yeah, no,
Especially with your one road hunt highway. Like, come on.
Oh, we're just
no, that we're
definitely not going to.
I know you're just spitballing, but
no, exactly. But I think that just highlights how limited the realistic options are. And now I think a lot of people might be, you know, screaming like it's different than the Coyotes because people didn't like Alex Morello. They didn't like that he wasn't just trying to build an arena. He was trying to build a whole ass entertainment district, which personally I didn't think was a bad idea, especially with the proposed plans.
That's what the D-backs want to do too.
Yeah, well, then it's not going to work because the people in the Valley don't want sports teams in Arizona.
dude, so this is the biggest concern.
Except the Cardinals.
I'm telling you, man,
Maybe the
this is the
Suns.
continued.
No, that's it.
This is probably the biggest continued concern that Arizona sports fans are going to have over the next decade as well if a deal isn't done, well, especially within the next 2 years, or even if it's a makeshift deal that is done in 2027 that only lasts 2 years to push it out until they find another one. The Coyotes were a slow burn too, fellas. Like after they left Gila River, we were like wondering what the hell was happening. And every turn, this wasn't working. This deal wasn't done. This wasn't getting done. And then what happened? They left.
Yep.
So that's
Well,
the
they
only
got
thing.
sold.
Well, the league forced them.
Well, yeah. Like They're gone. At the end of the day, they're gone. There is no more professional hockey team in Arizona. That's just it's the truth of the matter of the fact. So that's all we have to go off of in regard to our most recent history.
So that's why we're
For
scared.
situations like this that didn't have a positive outcome that ended up with a team leaving the Valley, that's why you have to be scared shitless, honestly, right now. Where we probably don't have to be as scared, especially if you were a Coyotes fan back then. You should have been really scared. But like we're speculative off of what happened with the Coyotes.
Yeah, I mean,
and
how can you not? We've already seen it happen before our very own eyes.
And
so I mean, it makes sense.
And that's what makes it hard to be optimistic right now is just what we saw, like I said, with how the Suns had to fight tooth and nail for their renovations, how the Coyotes couldn't get anything done anywhere they went, blocked at every avenue, to now we're dealing with this with the Diamondbacks, very similar issues. Whether you want to call it us being traumatized or just being realistic, it's not looking good. And I guarantee you this is not the last time we're going to be talking about this.
No.
And
we have 3 years of this, baby.
I will continue to rant and rave and be pissed off, but hopefully they come to a resolution sooner rather than later. But guys, one last topic I want to get to before we call this 33rd episode of the Heat Check podcast is still the Diamondbacks. They are heading towards the playoffs, we hope. There are, as of today, the 21st of September, 7 games left that they have to play. 1 against the Brewers, 3 against the Giants, and 3 against the Padres. Padres are also fighting for one of those wild card spots right there along with us. The Padres will have to play a 3-game series with the Mets before the end of the season, and the Mets are one of the other teams fighting for that wild card spot. Actually, I think I got that wrong. I think the Padres are playing the Mets are playing the Braves. That's what it was. The Mets
We're playing the Padres.
We're playing the Padres. Yeah. So the Mets are playing the Braves, and the Mets and the Braves right now are the 2 teams behind us, and they're about a game or 2 back, depending. What is it as?
The Mets are a game back.
The Mets are a game back. I think the
Braves are 2 games
games back. So right there in it, obviously we know what the Braves can do. They're a really good team. So kind of sketchy heading down here down the stretch. We had a rough start to the month of September. Diamondbacks were not looking so hot, but now that we're healthy, we just saw Lourdes Gurriel come back. What was it, last night? He rejoined the lineup on Friday night, the 20th.
Yep.
We designated for assignment Guillorme. I probably mispronounced that again. Guillorme.
Yeah.
We designated for assignment Dylan Floro, the reliever.
Well, a while ago.
A while back, yeah. But I mean, since the last time we recorded this.
Yeah.
Paul Sewald is on the IR, but it sounds like he might be coming back at the end of the month. He might be able to rejoin us for the
September
playoffs.
28th.
Jose Herrera got his first career home run today.
Jose.
Which obviously he's still on the roster because we sent Adrian Del Castillo back to AAA Reno because I think Jose Herrera provides more defensively, and we should, in theory, have enough offense where we don't need to lean on ADC to be helping out with the offense there. But guys, just looking at what we have here in the next just about a week before the end of the season, are you optimistic, Mike, that the Suns will be able to make it into the playoffs?
Well, the Suns haven't started yet, but I'm 100%. Chris,
good.
I am 100%.
I was looking at your shirt.
I know.
It was
Marion, there he is. Signature right there.
He goes, well, the Suns
Cup
haven't
right there.
started yet, but yes, I'm optimistic.
Thank you, guys.
I'm
Thank you.
optimistic.
The Diamondbacks.
I'm optimistic the Suns will make the playoffs next year, but yes, I'm optimistic that the Diamondbacks will make the playoffs after one hell of a start to this series against the Milwaukee Brewers, who they possibly could end up matching up with in that wild card round. It's a possibility, right? Maybe. But after winning the series, right? We can go for the sweep. 4-game sweep, man. That's impressive.
That'd be big.
Our guys are getting healthy right at the right time. Gabby just came back as well.
Oh, yeah.
Hope to see Ryan Nelson coming back sooner rather than later. Is there any news on him? I haven't really seen anything about that. Ryan Nelson?
Yeah, so Ryan Nelson, he's doing bullpen sessions.
Perfect.
He's eligible to come back September 27th. The belief is that he's going to be back and healthy to start the playoffs.
Perfect.
Good.
If we get into the playoffs.
But but my favorite thing is I think they were starting to get back. Well, I'm going off of today's game as well as starting to go back to that that identity of creating chaos, right? Corbin getting crazy on the base paths, doing a double steal with him and Cattell. My MVP, Cattell Marte. How about that? My MVP, Cattell Marte.
Our MVP,
setting his record for home runs in a season, tying his record for RBIs in a season, which I guarantee you he'll break as well. For a guy who went down for a good amount of time and comes back swinging once again, has had a stellar start to this series with Milwaukee. It's weird to say start to a series when it's 3 games in already. And then our guys have been pitching the hell out of the baseball. I mean, Brandon Pfaadt comes back after a tough start and strikes out 12. Awesome. Zach Gallen has a high pitch count, but does his thing, gives us an opportunity to win, and we do. And then I'm worried about Merrill, though. If the cramping thing is going to be continuous, he's definitely one of your top 3 guys. I think he's still number 2 when he's healthy. So we need him for a postseason run. But I think things are just lining up how we need them to ensure that we make the playoffs, right? I think Atlanta is 3 behind us. They're 2 back from that final spot, if I'm not mistaken. So we have a little bit of wiggle room with them.
That's correct, yeah.
It's great to hear that the Mets are playing the Braves as well, because they can cannibalize each other and give us a little bit extra space to make that playoff spot.
If one team sweeps the other, it'll pretty much eliminate them from contention.
It ends them.
Yeah.
So confidence band, but this last month guys, we continue to talk about the roller coaster with Arizona sports, but oh my Lord, has it been just a wild one with the Arizona Diamondbacks to end this season. But I think we're finally coming down off of the roller coaster and really starting to head up and get some momentum going here. So confident.
Yeah, Tallman, what about you?
Yeah, I mean, we're gonna make the playoffs. It's gonna happen.
There it is.
So I mean, which is crazy because going into the last series against the Brewers, we were on stream and I was like, I'm not scared of the Brewers. They're fucking blah blah. Boy, was I wrong. The Brewers were a matchup nightmare for this Diamondbacks team, as so it appeared at the time. So we got our ass whooped at Chase Field against Brewers, and then we crawled into Colorado. And we all saw what happened in Colorado where we lost that series, right? But boy, has that changed. Now we're on a 4-game win streak, 3 in a row against the Brewers in Milwaukee. I mean, it showed this team that we can play against a team that just kicked our ass a week ago, right? That the resilience of the Dbacks is showing again. So I'm feeling it. I mean, right now, just with the Mets playing the Braves and us being a game above the Mets, us having one more against the Brewers and then going in to play San Francisco, I have a really good feeling whether we capture the 2nd wild card spot or the 3rd wild card spot, we're going to capture one of them, and we're going to see the postseason. So how it sits right now, say the season ends and the wild card standings are as it is right now, with the Padres 1, us 2, Mets 3, we'd match up with the Padres in the wild card division. So 1, 2 in the wild card play each other. 3 plays the 1 division winner. That isn't okay. So you have 3 division winners, right? So the 2 with the best records get the bye, and the 3rd plays the 3rd wild card seed.
The lowest seeded one.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that would be the Brewers right now, because obviously LA and Philadelphia are going to be your 1 and 2. So you would see us playing the Padres, but if we drop to that 3rd wild card, then we're going to match up with the Brewers in the wild card division, which I don't know if that's necessarily a bad thing. See, I'm just so back and forth with my assessment of how this team plays against the Milwaukee Brewers. But also, again, I'm not... what would be awesome, though, is if we end the season against the Padres and we're playing at home at Chase Field. And I told you guys that I'd rather play the Padres. But imagine playing the Padres and then we finish, say we split that series or we win it, but we're still number 2 and the Padres are number 1. And then we start the next 2 days later, we start the wild card series against the Padres. That's going to be that's a lot of games in a row that we're going to be playing the same team. And that could definitely happen.
Yeah, no, it could. And, talking about playing against the Brewers, and we had the 3-game series and then this 4-game series. Mike, what was it I said that we had to do against the Brewers?
You had to win more games.
And what have we done?
We have done that, baby.
Games.
Let's go.
So I get that the Brewers have clinched, and so they rested a lot of guys today. That helped us get get the win. But I'm not scared of the Brewers. I'm honestly, I know, Tallman, we disagree on this, but I'm a little more scared of playing the Padres than I am the Brewers. Granted, the Padres, they have last season and this season, they have not lived up to their talent, guys. Like, we have to be real honest. They have a lot of talent on that roster. We saw just like a month or so ago, Blake Snell pitch a no-hitter. We've seen they've got Luis Arias. He's a singles machine. Tatis, Fernando Tatis. Yeah, he's back and he's healthy and he's starting to pick up where he left off. Manny Machado's no slouch. I mean, these guys, they have some bats. They have some pitchers as well. I don't know what their bullpen looks like. I'll be perfectly honest. I don't keep up with San Diego that much, but I know that they keep games close and they are able to win those games that they do more often than not. Granted, they are a wild card team. It's a steep hill to climb in the NL West to surpass the Dodgers when they have their $240 million payroll. And if you don't count the deferred money, they probably have a $500 million payroll, if not more. Like, it's absolutely insane what the Dodgers get away with. But at the same time, I'm not scared of the Dodgers as much either, because, and this is talking further if we can make it out of the wild card round, is just because the Dodgers choke, man. They don't perform in those big situations.
They got that moniker now.
Unless it's a supremely shortened season, that's the only time the Dodgers have a chance. And I hope I don't eat
the asterisk season. Yeah,
I hope I don't eat my words there.
You said Blake Snell. You meant Dylan Cease.
Yeah,
the no hitter.
Blake Snell is
the Giants.
with the Giants.
Oh,
yeah.
Oh, really? Dylan Cease was the one who threw the.
I think they both.
They both did. Okay.
Yeah, because then I was like, "What?" I was like, "Oh, you said Blake Snell." I was like, "Didn't we make Blake Snell?"
Blake Snell.
We made him pitch 47 pitches in the first inning. Then I looked it up and I was like, "Oh, he plays for the fucking Giants."
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So,
no, but you're right. Cease did do it too.
See, they both did.
So
wow.
Cease is on the Padres. Yeah.
Okay.
So your point is still
very
valid.
Well, because I think the big storyline there is when Cease almost had a no-hitter last year or the year before. It was Luis Arias who broke it up, and then he got the last out of his no-hitter. And he took the ball up to him and he was like giving him a hug and like grabbed it. It's like I know those are our division rivals and we were supposed to hate them, but I thought that was, as a baseball fan, I thought that was a really cool moment. But that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about the Diamondbacks making the fucking playoffs. Yeah. So I don't expect them to win out. I think that's unrealistic. I'd love to see it. I don't think it's going to happen, but they do need to be competitive and they do need to probably win these next two series against the Giants and the Padres.
They 100% have to win the Giants series.
Yeah. The Giants are out of it. Like, they
100%.
pretty much are just trying to play spoiler at this point.
Yeah.
Right? Are they
like the Rockies.
Are the Giants statistically eliminated?
Yeah, they
are, right?
Yeah, they're done. They're done. So that's a team. I mean, we just played them a couple weeks ago, right?
Yeah. But what makes me nervous is how poorly we performed against the Colorado Rockies, which are probably the worst team in the NL, if not the second worst team.
I mean, I'd rather have a bounce back against a good Milwaukee Brewers team than a bounce back against the Rockies. So be it. Yeah, we played like shit in Colorado, but what we're doing right now in Milwaukee, I'm okay with. You know, I mean, we're gonna rip off 3 pretty convincing wins against the Brewers, who literally just took our lunch money last weekend.
Yeah.
I mean, you got to be optimistic about it, right? And then you feel good about tomorrow. Did we ever figure out, is Rodriguez starting tomorrow?
It's got to be E-Rod.
It's got to be. And
I think it is.
And then what we saw from Rodriguez, I mean, he
had 11 strikeouts.
Struck out 11.
Solid.
So he's finally showing us that, hey, he can be one of the dudes.
But before he got pulled, he also had like 3 or 4 singles given up in a row.
Guys.
Who is it?
ESPN says Jordan Montgomery.
No. Okay. But anyways, I feel like today was a perfect kind of. Obviously obviously we still have one more game against the Brewers, but this was a perfect bookend or doing the get back for that series that we had against the Brewers in Chase Field, right? Where you come out, Brandon Pfaadt, one of your guys who has pitched in big games now within his career, has just been solid for you all year, has a down game, and then is utterly dominant in a 5-1 win. You come back, Zach Gallen is still, man, like I want Zach Gallen to just be the guy, but he is always on the fence, man. He's always on the fence, but he still had a solid showing. We win, the bats get a little bit better. We put up some runs and we win. But today, man, today, what an absolutely dominant effort from this team as a whole. I mean, you got J.J. McCarthy making incredible diving plays.
Jake McCarthy.
Oh, well, J.J. McCarthy's not playing. He tore his ACL, and that's football. My bad. You know what I meant.
Minnesota Vikings.
Merrill Kelly gives up 2 singles. You got guys with runners in scoring position, and then they force the double play that gets overturned. And then once Merrill goes out, I think they set down 18 straight batters or something like that. Joe Mantiply coming in, striking out the side. Kevin Ginkel
2 clean innings.
doing a little bit better. And then we already know what A.J. Puck has done since he's been traded.
So can we have the closer talk with Puck?
I think we have to.
It has
You
to
guys
be
wanna
him.
have that talk?
I mean, that's the talk.
Yeah.
I
It's
think we're all
him,
in
right?
agreement, right?
Well, what was the
Yeah.
stat you were saying, Tallman? He's on like a 22 inning streak.
So he's so since his time, he's been with the D-backs since the trade deadline. What? That's been 2 months, right? 2 full months. End of July. Yeah, it's about 2 full months. He's given up one run in his appearances as a Diamondback, and currently I think it's either 21 or 20. He's 20 and 2/3 innings. His streak is 20 and 2/3 inning scoreless every time he's out there throwing the ball. And the guy is just striking everybody out, man. You know, he's not a lefty. He's not a lefty specialist, dude. He's not that matchup guy. You know, he needs to be our closer because people just can't hit him, man. The averages against him are really low, and people just don't score runs against him. Like, this is the guy that you need in the 9th inning. To get you the win when you have the lead. I don't know why it's taken them fucking 7 games before the end of the season to figure that out, because we saw he closed last night and then he closed tonight. So I don't know why it's taken this long, but hopefully it sticks for the postseason because he is the guy.
I think it needs to, because it's kind of funny the 2 sides of the coin where even if you get Seawald back, he's getting up there. He's a little older for an athlete and for baseball, so he's lost a little bit of velocity. Not
neck injury too.
Yeah,
that's
neck
what's
injury.
scary. The neck injury.
Yeah, so he's not the same player that he was even last year when we had him in the playoffs. And then, like I say, the other side of the coin is Justin Martinez or Yilber Diaz. Those are young guns. Yeah, Justin Martinez can throw hard, but he can be wildly inaccurate and to the point of it
so
being
good,
detrimental, where he can throw a wild pitch. Like if we're having him be the closer in the 9th, or even pitching in if there is a 10th or 11th inning. It makes a difference, because if you start the 10th, the runner gets to 3rd on a wild pitch, and then he throws another wild pitch. That run's coming in, and then the other team has the lead. And you just can't do that. I mean, Gabby's good behind the plate. Herrera's good behind the plate, but there's only so much masking of poor pitching that they can do.
Yeah, I mean, nothing gets by Gabby. So that's why it hurt so bad when Gabby was hurt, and you had Herrera or you had Del Castillo back there, and then we were just running out J-Mart in the 9th every game, and it was like he couldn't throw that split finger because it was in the dirt, and Del Castillo couldn't block it to save his life. You know, he couldn't. Like, that's why he had so many pass balls where it's like, dude, you knew it was coming, man. Like, you got to put your body in front of it. But like, Gabby doesn't do that, man, because he won a Gold Glove. You know, the guy, you know, he's a stud behind the plate. So Gabby can catch Justin Martinez. He can, and then you can't handcuff Martinez with a catcher that can't block that pitch, because one of his best pitches is his best combination is, I'm going to throw you 101 gas, and I'm going to throw a fucking split finger at 90. It's going to be in the dirt.
Yeah. Yep.
And it's like, you can't hit that kid. You really can't. But what's great about the AJ Puck thing and then having Martinez, it's like you could run out either of those guys in the 9th. Or maybe you go J Mart in the 8th. It's like, or maybe J Mart comes in and he's just gonna get you out of whatever jam. Like, that's what they've been doing.
Well, don't get me wrong. I like Justin Martinez. I just don't know if I like him for the closer role. Have him be the setup guy. You know?
Yeah. If Puck wasn't on this team, we wouldn't be having this conversation. We'd be like, yeah, of course it's
has
Martinez.
to be him. Yeah.
Yeah, of course Martinez is gonna be the guy. But Puck has just been way too consistent and just too good. Like, people can't hit him.
Yeah, Mike.
I think I said it beforehand. I mean, the conversation is AJ Puck. There's nothing more to be said.
Yeah.
You have to trust him. I mean, from what he did the start of his season with the Miami Marlins, how he was horrible in the starting lineup, and then as soon as he came back from his injury and was absolutely dominant, all he's done is come over here and be exactly as dominant. So he has an entire season of tape behind him of being consistent. We don't have that from Justin Martinez. We absolutely don't have that from Paul Sewald. He's out of the question now at this point. But you have to go with the consistency. And I just love that big left arm of his, man. You gotta give him more opportunities to shut the door because he's been absolutely stellar. And you made the trade for a reason, right? It wasn't just a set. It's almost like the same way that we brought in Paul Sewald last year. That was what we needed. We needed to shore up the bullpen. We needed to add another left-handed arm into this bullpen this year. I get it.
Yeah.
But with his absolute utter dominance, how do you not put that in the best position to secure wins for your club? That's what you have to do. So easy decision.
Yeah. No, I'm 100% with you guys. I like Puck for the closer, Martinez for the setup, and we're just gonna have to see. Like we said, they got the Giants coming up, and then to close out the season, they'll have a 3-game with the Padres. Fingers crossed, guys. I really want to see the Diamondbacks play October baseball again. That would be really fucking awesome.
Wouldn't that be a fucking sight?
Wouldn't that be something?
Oh, ain't that something? We got the Dbacks in the postseason.
And I think that would kind of help us forget about all the stadium nonsense.
Yes.
But, fellas, really eager to see what the Cardinals do in week 3 against Detroit. Like I mentioned, that recap will be coming out Monday. It's already out while you're listening or watching this. Of course, I know you're already subscribed to our YouTube channel, Valley Sports Plug. You're following us at AZ_VSP on Instagram, TikTok, X, Twitter, Threads, everywhere. You just Google Valley Sports Plug and you can find us. If you're listening this deep into the podcast, you're a true fan, and we really appreciate you. I do want to give these boys the floor one last time to share any last thoughts they might have. So, Mike, we'll give it to you first.
Gentlemen, the biggest thing on my mind right now is going to this Arizona Cardinals versus Washington Commanders game next week. I have not been in State Farm Stadium for 6 years.
Has it been that long?
It's been that long.
Jeez.
No way.
It's a long time coming. I cannot wait. Watch the broadcast. We're going to be on TV. I promise you. Just look out for that sign. You will know what I'm talking about. And then we obviously know what's going on with the Diamondbacks. We're going to be keeping a keen eye on what happens these last 2 series. But as Chris has been saying at the end of all of our streams, basketball season is like 30 days away. And
are you optimistic about them making the playoffs?
I'm optimistic about the Suns making the playoffs, baby. Let's go. I know next month we haven't touched on the Suns a lot, basically, since the end of the playoffs, which is a few months back. There's just been so much going on in the Valley with our other sports. But I'm sure next month we'll talk on season predictions, outlook. Is Bradley Beal going to stay healthy? Kevin Durant, all that kind of good stuff. You know, we'll have those conversations. I'm excited to have those conversations come back. But until then, it's always a pleasure, fellas.
Appreciate you, Mike. Tallman, what you got?
Yeah, it's my turn. Okay,
yeah,
so I don't know if you guys got the alert on your phone.
My phone is not accessible to me right now.
Oh, that's right. Yes. Wait, no, you should have said, yeah, I got it.
Oh, I got it.
Looks like we had a little Nico Nice Net.
Oh, Nico
Nice
dropped the nice net.
So in like 0.5 seconds, I created the Cardinals edition, the Tallman ticket, to go head-to-head with Nico the Nice Net, or Nico's Nice Net. I don't know what the fuck it's called.
It's Nico's Nice Net. Put some respect on it.
No S at the end. Nico's Nice Net.
Nico's.
Okay. I guess I'm not.
Nico's Nice Net. Okay, like a basketball.
No, like netting, like you're netting income, right?
Like a fish net?
Like net profit.
Net profit.
Oh.
Where are you going?
Wait, what is it? Nico's Nice. Are you sure?
Yeah, like you're netting
profit.
Netting profit.
You're making money off of the bet.
Oh, I thought because he was gonna do basketball, and I thought it was like he's gonna make.
This is football.
But no. All right, he was talking about this. Was like months ago.
We'll educate you on financial terms.
I know what the
legal podcast.
Yeah, legal podcast coming.
Gross. I understand it.
Not a certified CPA over here.
Yeah, no fucking shit. All right. So with that being said, Jesus Christ. Do you want to do it right now?
No.
No.
Oh, I thought you were going to. Was that all you had? I gave you the floor to speak. Is that Okay, that's all he had, folks. Make sure you're following us on TikTok because that's where Nico's
I'm
Nights
so
Net is going to be.
I'm so
and that's
confused.
also where the Tallman ticket is going to
Okay,
be. We're going
yeah.
to give him a quick education. But, guys, we really appreciate you. This was the 33rd episode of the Heat Check podcast. We'll be back in October for episode 34. But until next time, I'm Chris Patrick for Michael Benjamin and VSP Tallman.